Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we're talking about the Tennessee American Chinese Chamber. We're joined by their COO, John Mickner. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeremy. I hope you're doing the same.
Absolutely. So we get to talk about international commerce, building relationships, and so much more. But let's dive in with some history. Give us a little bit of history for the Tennessee American Chinese Chamber.
The chamber was started in 2014 by John Wang. He is the president, and he is an immigrant from China, from about the middle part of China. He's been here now for about 40 years. And one of his ambitions was to always stay connected with China one way or the other. So he decided to start the chamber in 2014. I got involved about 2019. And, he made me the COO of the organization. My primary job was to build membership. At that time, there were a lot of people attending, but we didn't have any real paying members. So before COVID, we were up to about 150 members. We had some great attendance at our meetings. 70, 80, 90 people would be attending, primarily at Trevecca University. And of course, COVID put a big dent in that, but we're coming back strong. We have about 8 meetings a year. And we're looking forward to a great 2023 and the balance of this year.
Absolutely. Talk about the mission, the purpose for the organization.
The main purpose, the main mission is to connect business people here in Middle Tennessee with Chinese business people also in Tennessee and throughout the United States. That's number one. Number two is to connect business people here with companies in China. One of the ways we've been able to do that is by starting an economic development committee inside of TAC3. That's the shortened version of Tennessee American Chamber. And basically, what we do there, we have a lot of contacts in Taiwan, in China, actual manufacturers, producers of products. And we've been actually able to help some of our members connect with those manufacturers and be able to get products made in China. We've also had products here shipped to China. One of the areas we're working on right now is actually grain. China's in a massive need for grain right now. And we're hoping that we can, help them and as well help the farmers in Tennessee and Kentucky by helping them get grain to China. We actually have people on the ground in China that are, believe it or not, are residents of Tennessee, but they go back to China about 6 months a year, and they actually vet companies for us there and seek out people that we can work with in China. So it's a very good relationship.
Talk about the events. You mentioned obviously ongoing events. So talk about what those encompass and the information, because obviously a lot of this is being able to share the information and build those relationships. So talk about the enrichment, the collaboration, and the events.
It's nowhere on the scale of City Current, that's for sure. I really enjoy going to those events. But basically, what we do is we have about 8 events a year. And as I said, part of it is networking, just introducing people to each other. That's my main function. When someone walks in, for example, if you walked into a meeting, Jeremy, I would ask you again, remind me what you do, who you are, and then I would try to connect you with somebody else there that's a member, so that you guys can collaborate a little bit. The meetings themselves are informational. We've had meetings on real estate investment. We've had meetings on finances. We've had meetings on medical technology. We've had meetings on relations between the United States and China. And we've actually had, in several instances, people from China, from the Chinese Chamber of Commerce and from the government there and from their ambassadors here that have either attended our meetings or joined us on Zoom. and we're able to let people know exactly what the atmosphere is in China right now. And I'll just maybe preempt that a little bit by saying we work with business people. We are not involved with politics, whatever. We don't care what the governments are doing or how, what kind of battles they're having with each other. We're concerned about business people working with business people. So, but that's pretty much, they're very informational meetings. We make sure that people leave the meeting with something they can use in their business and with contacts that they can make after the meetings are over.
You mentioned working currently on the grain and being able to open that conduit for China. What is the pulse when you talk about just the willingness to work together, the desire, the appetite? Talk about it, from what you're seeing on your end.
Again, I'll stress the fact that, people are people. Business people want to work with other business people. And one thing I always tell anybody that's a new member in particular is that if you're not working with the international community, you're missing out on probably 70% of possible new business contacts. We're used to the same old, contacting all the same people here locally that everybody else does. And, when you reach out to other cultures, to other countries here, and you don't necessarily have to go overseas. I mean, there's enough people moving into Nashville from the different culture areas that, gosh, you can open up doors internationally by working right here in Tennessee. It's kind of amazing. But the temperature right now is, again, that business people want to work with business people. We tend to work with companies and with buyers in central China. And what that means is without getting again into politics, the Chinese government pretty much oversees or really gets involved with major cities like Beijing and places like that, and pretty much anything to do with defense or military or technology. We're not involved in those areas. Grain, and again, is something that they need, they want. The farmers here are looking for avenues to be able to export. So we've been able to, through some of the members, again, and this is what's very unique about it, we haven't had to go outside of the membership to make all these connections. We've got members that are involved with the agriculture department here in Tennessee. We have people that, through our contacts with the Chinese embassy in Washington, we're able to make additional contacts with agricultural folks in Washington. So really, just by staying in our own, membership, we've been able to open up doors internationally. And again, it's Nashville and the Nashville metro area is now international, and it's opening up doors, and it can open up doors for not just our members, but anybody that wants to attend our meetings to be able to work overseas.
Talk about some of the different customs, and I'm thinking even in terms of greetings and things like that. What are some of the things that we need to know when you're talking about international dealings, and especially within the Chinese culture?
Well, the only Chinese I really know is "mi hao," which is hello. How are you doing? I keep threatening the president that I'm going to learn Chinese one of these days, just so I can find out what he's saying about me. But the cultures, the most important thing about doing business outside of, again, your comfort zone, which might be if you're from the South or from the North or Northeast or whatever, is to know that culture, know the how the people, what their daily activities might be. The one thing you don't want to do is insult somebody by not knowing what their culture is. They're very willing to help. One thing we've noticed by working with, again, companies and people in China, Taiwan, India, a number of other countries, is that when you express the fact that you want to know more about them, you want to know more about how you can help them, that's when the doors open. That's when they'll actually kind of coach you as to what's culturally correct. We also have on our Economic Development Council a gentleman by the name of Xing Lu, who is from Taiwan and has a lot of relatives in Central China. And he's really coached us quite a bit on the culture. You don't do this, please don't say that. Here's the best way to connect. The main thing is trust. It's an ancient culture, especially in China and India. And the most important aspect of working with them is developing trust and developing a relationship. And sometimes what that means, here in the States, we want instant gratification. We want instant results. You might have to work with an example would be one company that we're working with directly in China. We probably had to have conversations with them for almost 2 years before we were actually able to conduct business. They wanted to find out more about us. We needed to find out more about them. A number of meetings back and forth. Sometimes they even request, travel to see their facilities, or they want to come and see what we're doing here. And by the way, the Chamber of Commerce in China has been very helpful with us. As I said, I think the Nashville Chamber here maybe has about, a couple thousand members. The Chinese Chamber has 175,000 members. Wow. Business members. But again, China's a huge population country. But the main thing, Jeremy, is trust and being able to build that relationship. If people think they can instantly gain the trust and do business with people in different countries, they've got a big lesson to learn there. That's for sure.
Perspective to me is always key, just like you're talking about, and understanding that it's a long range game and that you do have to build those relationships over time before it leads to business in many cases. So understanding the culture and making sure you understand the dynamics is always extremely important. Carry that over into success stories. You mentioned obviously the agricultural side. Give me maybe one or two, just either current ones or just past businesses and some success stories that have happened.
Well, we've actually been able to, through some representatives here in Tennessee, have been able to get some Chinese companies to move here, open up facilities here, which of course employs Tennesseans, which is great. And in a lot of cases, they'll insert some management here to start with, but then it becomes totally 100% American run. We've also personally, I've been able to get a medical device manufactured in China, and then sent here. We're about ready to roll that product out. That's been a 2.5-year project. But again, a lot of people think, well, if you work with China or some of the other countries, they're going to steal the technology. That again is where the relationship comes in, and making sure that you have that trust, so that and actually what the company that we're working with, the manufacturer we're working with, wants us to become their exclusive distributor here in the United States. They need that door open here in the United States. So that's one success story. Another one is, again, some of the companies that have moved here. We also are helping several people here that have products that they would like to export internationally, and we're very, very close right now to helping two of those folks, two of those companies, be able to actually export to China. And that's big, because the one way we can turn the tables on the deficit, on the trade deficit, is to export more. And they want our products. They still believe, in a lot of the countries, still believe that American made is the best. But we have to be able to take that step forward and prove that to them, and be able to work out those negotiations.
Yeah. You mentioned planning for a bright future ahead in terms of finishing out 2022 and then obviously looking forward into 2023. Give me a couple of your goals and your visions moving forward for the organization.
again, membership is number one. Just growing membership, and the way to do that is to make sure that the meetings are informative, to make sure that people, no matter who is speaking, no matter what the topic is, people want to meet people. People want to network. So that's the main function. We make sure that when somebody leaves, I don't know how many times I've had people call me after a meeting and saying, "Thank you so much for making that introduction. We're actually going to be working together." That's the goal. So our main goal is to be able to finish up the year and go into next year with helping as many local businesses as possible, make connections. And something I mentioned before is that you don't necessarily have to even go outside of the United States to do business internationally. There's a company we're working with out in California that's a Chinese implanted company in California that is helping us on the grain situation, and also export import of beef and that type of thing. So and vegetable products. So if you seek and and look for these people on the East Coast, West Coast, wherever it might be, you'll find that you don't necessarily have to travel across the ocean to do business internationally. So our goal is really, again, build membership, let people know that the Chinese people here in Tennessee and in the United States want to do business with them, want to build relationships, and want to build long-lasting relationships. I've known the president of TAC3 now for about 9-10 years, and we're very close friends. We've done numerous types of business together, and most importantly, we have dinners together. We do things together, and the bottom line, Jeremy, is that, again, people are people. We all have families. We all want to respect each other, and if we can do that, it can be a beautiful world.
Absolutely. We'll wrap up with website. Where do we go to learn more about the Tennessee American Chinese Chamber, and how do we get involved?
The website is TAC3, the number 3.org. If you go there, you'll see our events that are coming up, history of the chamber. To join, there's a join us button on there on the website. The membership is a whopping $100 per year, which is affordable for just about any business. And again, it opens up a lot of doors, for those businesses. So we'd love to have everybody join us, of course, and that would be where to go, TAC3.org.
Perfect. Well, John Mickner, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome, Jeremy, and good to see you again. And thank you so much for having me.